Salad or Dolly, threw a great party. We all drank Bacardi, it got kinda gnarly. We're light as a feather, we're tougher than leather. Together we're weirder together.
I'm going to show you something
Okay.
that is the ultimate signifier of a man staying with his mother.
Oh.
Let me know if you know what's in it.
Okay. What's in it?
Nescafe, baby. Nescafe, instant coffee.
I secretly love Nescafe.
I've never really fucked with it, but I think this is my day.
Once in a while, there's something about it. And what does your mother think? Because Australia is known for its really good coffee. Is she?
Look, we know several people who do not treat their first cup of coffee with Nescafe as a cup of coffee. They treated it as like a medicinal, sort of medical need.
Yeah,
it's purely pharmaceutical.
Well, Patience says she's so impatient, ironically, to have her first cup of coffee in the morning that she will do a quick instant coffee while her coffee's brewing. So she can get coffee right away while it's brewing and then get a good cup of coffee.
That's right.
For me, Nescafe is like, it's like there's a certain time or type. It's just like once a year, there's a moment where it's good. I think maybe with your mom, I would enjoy it.
Yeah, we put a little bit of. We always grew up with her having some coffee or tea with some Hermesites.
What's that?
They never really came to America. They were like these little pills. They were fake sugar, basically, and they just came out in this little dispenser with these tiny pellets, like almost like mini Pez.
Yes,
but they were called Hermesites, which to me it's interesting. It's got almost like a Greek origin. Like it feels like it's a philosophical experience. Have a little Hermesites, a gift from the gods.
Right, a little bit of tiny
But it
sugars.
just tasted like that weird chemical fake sugar.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And what's weird is, what's it called? Not sativa. There's a natural leaf that's sugar.
Stevia.
Stevia. That's too strong and yucky.
You hate stevia.
I do. I kind of hate it.
Yeah, I remember. Didn't I film a TikTok of you once having a sip of it camping and you have this big warm sip and smile and you go, stevia is disgusting.
Well, I love maple syrup. I don't have that much sweetener, and if it's a good cup of coffee, I don't have anything.
Well, you didn't grow up with sugar, basically, right?
My mom was like honey. I remember my friend Barbara, her mom, and my mother having a little debate because Barbara said honey is the same as sugar, but she was studying to be a nurse, and technically, if you're talking about spiking your sugar levels, honey is the same. But my mom was like, but it's not processed and blah, 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 blah.
Did they remain friends?
Yeah, they did.
So this wasn't like a vax, anti-vax. This wasn't like a divisive friendship argument.
No. I mean, the woman was, Barbara became a nurse. My mom always wanted to be like a midwife. So she went with Barbara to study to be a nurse. And the math, after one day, my mom gave it up and Barbara kept going and became a nurse. So
your mom came very close to being a doula.
Then
this was
she
just
wanted to be
about a decade ago.
Yeah.
And then she realized that they could call you at any time of the day and you could get that 3 a.m. call. And she was like, nah, not that passionate.
Exactly. I know. The being on call possibility wasn't. Yeah, I think she would have liked to have just assisted maybe 10 births, but probably wouldn't want the commitment.
Yeah, just a clean 10. Yeah.
A clean 10.
Okay, everyone wants a tight 10 deliveries. So you didn't have any sugar in the house growing up? Like you just had like dates and stuff? Like what did you have for a sweet?
It was sort of in and out. I mean, my mom was like
little carob.
She went in and out of being like, we would have like honey cake for our birthday, but then some years we'd have a normal cake, or she liked cooking, so she had a creme brulee phase, and that's like solid cooked sugar on the top of the creme brulee. That's what makes it like that. So it wasn't like a hard, but it was more like we just didn't have like sugar cereal. We didn't have a lot of like sweets around. It was just
Did
more
you have a
like
piñata at your birthdays?
Yeah, but I don't know
what was in the piñata.
She was sort of more of a when in Rome sometimes. Like we could have if we were out.
Pasta in the piñata. Yeah.
Pasta. What do you mean?
I don't know, in Rome.
Oh,
They'd
Rome,
have
in Rome,
pasta in a
Italian. I
pinata.
got
Yeah.
it. I got
Yeah.
it. Yeah, like if we were having Chinese food, we can have a Coke. Or if we went to a friend's house, we could eat what they had. But at home, it was mostly, yeah. It wasn't like
Mm.
hard. Like some people, like my godmother was so into no sugar that Otto, my god brother, couldn't have like yogurt or anything. But my mom
Wow.
was like, and she was a good kind of healthy nut type person because she wasn't that like obnoxious about it. She didn't stand on a box and preach about it, or you know what I mean. She didn't have that
I
like
don't even
ego.
know. Yeah, I don't know what my parents' attitude. My parents were very much. I mean, I grew up in the '80s where it was like convenience. So it was just like there was definitely all the like low fat stuff started coming in, but
Why was
there was
that? Like high blood
always.
pressure or
I don't know. It was just
car?
advertising. There was all this
Yeah.
advertising saying have the low fat yogurt, but there was always a 6-pack of Tab in the fridge. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that much.
that's
And
not so
Milo,
healthy.
dude, Milo. I smothered stuff in Milo.
You seem really
Like,
healthy though. For
do I?
oh wait, Milo, is it powdery?
Chocolate powder, yeah. Put
I
it on
love
cereal.
that.
Put on my Wheat Bix in the morning.
My
Put on
mom
ice
would
cream in the
not.
afternoon.
We would not have had. That was we had. It was called Obertine.
Ovaltine, yeah, that's the
Ovaltine.
British one. Yeah.
Yeah, they had that in America, but that would have been too processed for my
But
mom.
what was it about Ovaltine that allowed it to market itself as somewhat more healthy than Milo? Like it had an orange pack, and they claimed to say there was like vitamin B in it or something.
Yeah, I think it had. You could taste the vitamin B, but that I got like my friend had that in her pantry, Ovaltine, and I every time I went to her house, I would take scoops of Ovaltine dry in a tablespoon.
Hell
And
yeah.
it was delicious. Yeah, we would not have had Ovaltine. It would have been too processed, or Milo. We would have had like, brewer's yeast.
Brewer's yeast as a snack.
Well, in something like if she was into having, she said she had all sorts of. It's funny because my mom. She's not doesn't strike you that way now, right?
She goes on little jags.
Of like health
She
nut
gets
stuff.
like inspired with little, she wants to integrate certain trends or certain things, tips she gets into her health campaign.
Yeah.
I borrowed my mum's car on this little, this tour I just did.
Your
driving
civilized
out of Sydney.
Australian tour.
Yeah, it's a little civilized Australian tour. And at one point I looked down into the, what do you call the space between the two seats?
The depths
Purgatory.
of hell.
Yeah, but I looked and I was like, why am I not eating from this tin of boiled sweets like lollies?
Oh.
There's like a tin. It's a generational thing. I don't know anyone our age that would buy a tin of lollies and put them in their car. And I just started sucking on those things. Let me tell you, tour morale went through the roof.
Last time, do you recall we borrowed your mother's car? We ate all of the tin of sweets and we had to replace it. Do you remember?
Where did we get it? I wouldn't know where to go to replace it.
We did. We replaced it with something because we felt bad. But people, your moms know best. And I guess it's like convenient if you're going to the opera and you don't want to cough. Like, is that something that happens when you get older that you need to suck on something when you're seeing a live performance that's quiet?
Yeah, totally. And also like sugar.
I don't have that
Sending
fear.
little particles of sugar into your throat is not exactly the thing that's going to prevent you coughing.
Sugar makes you cough, but I don't have that fear of ruining a live show by coughing.
Are you excited the night I get back? I'm taking you as part of your birthday present to see Sandra Bernhard.
That's what's getting me through this very challenging part of my life is like one day I will be sitting at the Wallace Theater.
With your husband.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though. This is the thing. Touring is very difficult. One thing we know is parenting is easy. That is really, that's a good...
So easy. I know. I mean, it is really funny when I'm having a hard time when I'm working and it's hard, like when I'm acting or something. And I just think it isn't as hard as parenting.
Yeah, it's a brutal thing. And it is kind of funny when you're the person working away, how intensely the person who's taking on the full parenting duties is suffering. I mean, it's full on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a particular type of crucible you're passing through.
Yeah. And
You know?
for sure. And it's fine. It's like textbook teen stuff, so it's all good. And why not
Totally.
I guess when they say with little kids, long days, short years, and there's all these little catchphrases to get through, like, oh, you're not even going to remember this time, and just try to enjoy it. And you just have all these reminders when parenting a child. But with a teen, I need some catchphrases of like, don't, I don't hear any
I'll give
like,
you one. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
okay,
That's a good one.
that is good.
You know what I mean?
Once,
Pick your battles, basically.
that's for sure. I
Yeah.
said that to myself the other day. But also like ones to know, like try to enjoy this time ones. Like the way that they say when you have a little kid that's really difficult, like this is going to go by in a minute. So just try to enjoy this sweet little baby. So how do I do the try to enjoy this, teen?
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not. I mean, I do think it's funny because
I
now
do
we've been
enjoy it. I
together.
do.
We've been
Pardon?
married 15 years, together 17 or 18. Like the idea that our youngest kid now is 14 and basically 4 more years until we have only adult children.
Yeah.
And we get I just have this whole vision of I mean, I don't want to call it our golden years, but I think our dating life begins then.
Yeah.
Because you and I never had a dating life without children in the picture.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you to so many restaurants.
I
You're
do.
going to be
I
sick of
know.
it.
I'm like, not to rehash with the how far long gone, but I am like that. I am a restaurant. That is like my favorite thing.
No, I can't
But
wait. I can't wait.
listen, teens, just
I was
to
watching
end.
on the Kardashians, though. Have you been to Giorgio Baldi? Apparently, this
I
is this
think
iconic
so.
Italian LA
Yeah.
restaurant.
Where? And is it in Beverly Hills or in Calabasas?
I couldn't tell. It looked good, though.
But teenagers are kind of like unicorns. They sort of are like magical creatures. So it is nice to remember that this age of teen, it's like it is a certain specific thing that
Yeah.
is exciting. Like so many, movies, and I mean, they're intriguing. Teens are, so I'm going to enjoy that. But yeah, and I also, you put in the time and keep the kids close, and they're going to have hopefully a better adulthood, because definitely you don't want to be a parent of an adult child who's suffering. Would sound like the pits. I mean, life is life, but you know what I'm saying. I'm going to put in the.
You know what I'm thinking about too? It's funny how we sort of idealize the insights and the angst of youth, meaning even a lot of the music we love in rock and roll comes from people in their early 20s, which are essentially still teenagers. I mean, they're still nightmares, you know what I mean? Like living in like, a narcissistic, like self-involved
nightmares.
hell. But it's interesting how we idealize certain aspects of that experience, but we don't want to personally deal with it.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that story about the St. Mark's poetry reading that they used to have every year on New Year's Day at St. Mark's Church. And all of the poets, this was probably started in the 70s, would come, and it was like the beat guys and everyone would come. And there was one day where Jim Carroll came in and he got up to read a poem, and he stood up on the podium and he threw up on the podium, like either before or after his poem. And there were all these people kind of going, oh, how disrespectful. Why was he invited? And other people were like, you invited a guy who was famous for being a junkie. You're lauding him for standing there reading poems about dope sickness.
Right.
Yet when he throws up, it just seems very hypocritical to not want to deal with the real output of a human in trauma or in crisis, but to idealize the art they make or something.
I know. Like dating, you want to date a hot person, but you don't want to deal with the person. You just want to
right. Like what is it you have to deal with? Like the makeup or something?
No, you want to, when people just want like the idea of dating, they want, they want to like have all the fun parts of dating, but they don't recognize that hot woman is a person.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I getcha.
Yeah.
Was it hard for you to, like, because you married, such a hot person, has it been hard for you to see me as a 3-dimensional figure?
Oh my gosh, this is a very it's hard for me to unsee you as a three-dimensional person. I'm trying to. No, I yeah, I'm watching The Cruise right now.
Oh my God, Timothy Speed-Levitch, one of my favorite documentaries ever. Inspired my song No Right Angles.
Yes, I know. I started
Yeah.
helping Goldie organize her room because also something interesting about this age is kids want to sometimes get quite organized, which is, fine by me. So I'm helping her fold up those clothes and organize. But anyway, I put it on.
Yeah, what drew you to The Cruise? It just popped up like in your
It,
algorithm?
oh,
Or?
I don't remember. I think there was an article I saw that said documentaries or movies about New York. And then there was, that was one of them. There was that one about Bill Cunningham and I've seen that one pretty recently. And I thought, wow. And that reminds me of our early dating life.
Did I
It
show
was
you that right when we were dating in the beginning?
yeah, speaking of learning about you and seeing you as three-dimensional, that was a sort of way to learn about you.
How do you perceive that documentary or that character, Timothy Speed-Levitch, now? As like, because I think we both, when you see that when you're younger, there's also a romanticism to his like, the fact that he's like sort of outside society and everything. But now, how does it read to you?
I mean, he's depressed and he struggles with depression, and you can clearly see that. But he's also insightful that he had this pressure from his grandparents to have a normal job, um and I think there's just something, what keeps him going is art and beauty and poets and New York, and this relationship to the city is his way of dealing with his depression and being alive and trying to stay alive. And so I view him as somebody, yeah, I mean, I don't know why, analyzing him, he didn't want a normal quote unquote job, but also it just is
Do you think he
sad
could
that,
handle it? He seems quite, I don't know if it's neurodivergent, but he's not a normal dude.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. And he just
I
wants
wonder
to,
if the ability to, he obviously had this tremendous ability to romanticize the city. So
yes.
for people who don't know what we're talking about, this is a
Okay.
documentary about a tour guide, a tour bus conductor in New York City.
Is it in the
And
80s?
no, I think it's the 90s.
Yeah.
Came, and it was kind of a very influential documentary, and it inspired my song to No Right Angles, because he has all these incredible theories that are really like, it's poetry. The way he talks about the city, it's like
Oh, it's
New York
incredible.
City is like a lover and like a lens to
And he
him, and
knows
everything he talks about it.
the
Yeah,
tour, the architecture, the who lived where, the things he says about the city. It's like he's sort of a genius, and maybe
he
he is
is.
neurodivergent, but he'll go through the West Village and he can name every writer and what they were going through, and the way he talks about it. He could have written for the New York Times articles about things. Like, he was very well spoken. And
And it was directed by Bennett Miller, who I know did Capote.
yeah, and I feel like this might have
and Moneyball.
influenced.
Yeah,
Yeah, Moneyball. I feel like this might have influenced like Nathan For You, or I don't know. Maybe it
for
seems,
sure. It's
because
up there. It's with like American Movie and these
yeah,
kind of like great American outsider documentaries where there's because with Timothy Speed-Levitch you do sense that so people call him Speed because of the
yeah.
bus movie, the Keanu Reeves Speed, because he was on the bus.
Uh,
But I feel like there was almost like a Nathan Fielder-esque self-awareness that he's playing a character,
yeah.
but he seems much more imprisoned by it than like a comedic approach like of Nathan Fielder or John Wilson.
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
for sure.
It's like
But I
he's
mean,
truly a victim of his own personality too.
if you want to get, like, I don't ever want to sit on a tour bus, but you not only get like wonderful facts and things, but he's also he almost has a relationship with buildings like the way he just
It's
talks about
sexual.
it's
It's
sexual
sexual.
almost,
Yeah.
and it's brilliant. So yeah, it's quite sad but kind of amazing. And I wish the world was that, say he was autistic or something, and they realized, the tour company, like, this guy's genius. Everyone loves him. He's a character. He's brilliant. He knows the city. It's a great tour. And they did respect him more. It just speaks to kind of, there are certain, jobs for certain people and the way people treat each other. I mean, it's like they're a tour, business. They just crank out these buses. And so anyway, I would have liked for them to have respected him more.
No, that's absolutely true. But he did get the validation of, Bennett Miller and the documentary. Like, I think that's
Oh,
part of the
that's
thing we're
good.
talking about with Jim Carroll and all these characters, that these eccentric artistic characters are often not able to integrate into society very well, but from a distance we can admire them and learn from them, and they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, I shared this on our socials, but someone wrote a review of my show in Wollongong, and they just said something really nice about Weirder Together, and I wanted to share it because it was so cool. She said, one aspect that made this event truly special was the inclusive atmosphere fostered by Ben Lee and his wife Ione Skye through their company Weirder Together. It was evident in the eclectic crowd that gathered that night, which included a wide range of fans, people sporting Slipknot merch, people who have an emotional attachment to the powerful lyrics of Ben's music, as well as people I've just seen in countless other mosh pits. And I just thought it was cool that part of, we're not doing like a heavy-handed thing about I don't know, I guess like diversity or something, but it's just a natural product of the vibe we're creating, is that like different types of people feel really embraced by the pod and the company, and I don't know, it's just really made me really happy.
I love that. Except for
That's
our
all.
one hater. No, I'm kidding.
Who's our one hater? What
Oh
do you
no,
mean?
just someone wrote something funny to you, remember?
Oh my god, yeah, that's true. I did get
But
a
I know,
very
but yeah,
got a
I
very
mean, it's really great. It's a fun new, like, I don't know, like this new kind of, all these new friends we have. And
yeah, I mean, I think of it as like sort of like a catch-all, somewhat reductive term is like freaks.
right.
But they are sort of like the kind of freaks. There's different types of freaks in the world, and I feel like we are communicating with our type of freaks, which is really nice.
Yeah.
You know,
Peace and
baby.
love. Peace and love, Ringo.
Peace and love. So yeah, I've done a bunch of shows. I played at a winery the other night, Talagandra Hill Winery. It was really great. I wished you were there because it was like super remote. Man,
I
I've seen
know.
some roadkill traveling through regional New
So
South
wait,
Wales.
what's Australian roadkill? Like big?
Okay, I've seen giant wombats on the side of the
Whoa.
road, like giant,
Whoa.
round, furry, like
How big? Like as big as
like bigger than
Pharaoh?
Cooper.
Wait, wombats
and
can be
fat.
that big?
Yeah, they're like big animals. They
I
look
thought
like, they actually look like
wombats-
big pigs.
Bigger than Cooper?
Yeah, but like, 'cause like wider, like more rotund.
Okay, but as tall? Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, and on the side of the road, like
Our dog
these,
is giant, by the way. So
yeah,
I'm just...
these
I thought
dead
wombats were
wombats.
littler than kangaroo.
They can be little and they can be cute, or they can be big and intimidating.
Wow, that's like a Halloween scary.
But I sat down with the owner of the winery after the show, and we had a glass of wine. He made really nice Shiraz.
Not my
but we were
favorite.
talking about just marriages, and he was like, "How many cracks at you?" Sorry, he said, "How many cracks at it have you had?" I think I'm getting worse at speaking. I've noticed myself stumbling over my words. But how many
Just
cracks
today?
at marriage? And I said, only one. I'm really in my first official crack at it. And he was like, "Wow, that's impressive." He was like, "I've had a couple." It's like, you get better at it, don't you, as you get older? And I do think it's
Yeah.
true. I think marriage, drugs, even sex, it's like they're not children's toys,
You get better and you have to take
You
it
get better at it.
seriously.
You understand it. You understand their power.
That's cool. I know. It's torture watching all these locations like It's fine. I mean, I'm working on my book and parenting, and I'm like, I know I have to be here and I want to be here. So it would feel weird to not be doing what I need to do. But seeing you in all these like sort of beautiful like places in Australia
Oh, it's
looks
making
really
you miss
nice.
Australia.
Well,
Australia misses you
yeah. And there's
because
time.
you're
I
an
mean,
honorary Aussie.
I'm not feeling like I should be anywhere else, but it's funny seeing you. I guess what I'm saying is it's funny seeing you in these places that should be like a romantic getaway,
I know.
but
Yeah,
it's
they're not quite
fine.
as romantic on your own.
We'll have
But
some getaways.
no, but I came back from. I felt such a feeling of accomplishment yesterday when I pulled into Sydney because I've been doing some hectic drives. It's been
Yeah.
like, a lot of driving show to show and just by myself. And then I just got back and just jumped in the ocean yesterday,
Oh yeah, which
and it was
one?
so good.
Which
Just up at
beach?
Watson's Bay, just
Oh,
off the pier. Just walked straight to it, straight off the pier. Came out. It
I
was
know that
amazing.
pier. That's where we saw our
Little
friends'
chica.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw what was I gonna say? Oh
You
God, I've
saw
totally
someone?
forgotten. No, I was about to tell you something and I've totally spaced
This
on it.
reminds me of the conversation I had at this very not fancy party, this like fabulous
You
party.
were at a very Hollywood party last
And
night
I
without me.
there was a certain celebrity that I was so excited to be talking to.
You
And
can't
then
say who it is?
I guess so, Tim Heidecker.
Yeah, that's okay.
And somebody else was standing there talking with us, and then they couldn't remember the name of something for so long that it like just took the steam out of this like dynamic conversation.
That is,
And
I
was
just
like,
took the steam out of the podcast.
that's
It's
right, it
so
reminded me.
true.
I
But
was
you
like,
totally
no.
rescued me there. You have such amazing social graces. Where did you learn that? Like you
It's
are
just I need to be
incredible.
loved. Well, some
Is it
people
needing to be loved?
I don't know. I mean, some people become they're funny naturally, and they really crank that. You know, they learn. You hear those stories like Sarah Silverman, like my one of her dad laughed if she swore and
Dirty
made
jokes.
jokes.
Yeah.
So then she became a kind of like shit talking whatever genius. But she also happens to be a genius anyway. But I think it's that thing. I don't know though why for me being charming was like my version of making somebody laugh, but I don't know if like as a kid someone was like, "That's charming," and I was like,
Yeah, because you
"Ooh,
have you have that sort of cocktail party banter, like the ability to rescue people and keep the conversation flowing and alive. But you also have the geisha side where
yeah."
you just want to serve the vibe and
Well,
serve
maybe
people.
because later in life, if you want to be invited around to fun vacations with people, sometimes if you run out of money, if you're charming and you give good banter, they'll bring you along. So maybe it's like survival.
I love the foundation of your charm and wit and goodwill is terror, essentially,
Yeah.
and lack of abundance, and the fear of that you need rich people to take you on a holiday by being charming.
Like when I'm older, I'm like, well, she's good as a third at the table or whatever.
Well, you've really created quite the insurance plan for your old
Also,
age.
last night, someone came up to me and this woman and said, "Hi, I'm um, who's Jason Ritter's dad?
John Ritter.
John Ritter." She's like,
Yeah.
"I'm John Ritter's widow," and I was like, "Oh yeah," because I hung out because I used to know Jason Ritter, and I hung out with him at the house at his dad's house when his dad was still alive.
Back when Daphne and Jason
Yeah.
were together.
So John Ritter we hung out, and she said, "I have the best picture of you with my kid in the pool, and you're coming out of the pool, and you have these like dots of swimming pool on your eyes, and you're just always
I
been
think it's
such
called
a."
water.
You're ruining my story.
Oh, sorry. No,
It
the
just-
dots
she-
of swimming pool is a great phrase.
And but she described it poetically, is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
get at. If
Yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't ruin my flow,
Sorry.
but anyway, she said, "And you're such a like movie star." So,
Oh.
and then I was wearing kind of a cape last night, and a couple people were like, "You seem like." I guess it's like I've always fostered that kind of charming, trying to be movie star thing.
Glamour. You are
Yeah.
born glamorous.
I
You are.
wanted to be, so I became it.
Yeah. Some of your glamour, I just always hoped it rubs off on me. I want you to. You're like my guru, my glamour guru.
Well, you have a kind of old-fashioned thing that's kind of nice. You've got an elegance. Once you keep your feet off coffee tables for good.
Look,
But you're kind of you have like a because your parents were from another era, and you
they're
kind of
from the
grew up.
Nescafe generation. Yeah.
And you kind of grew up. So I kind of like that. You don't have. I mean, you're like kind of punk, but you also have this kind of old man elegance that I
A
like.
bit of a posh punk.
Bit of
So
a posh
tonight
punk.
I've got the Rage in Placid Lake 20th
I'm
anniversary
so
screening.
jealous.
By the time this comes out, it will have happened, but I'll give a bit of a report
Alexi
back.
Taliopoulos is
I know, he's
so
so
brilliant.
funny.
If y'all want to hear another podcast, this is like called Special Features. I mean,
Oh, it's
also,
so good. It's Alexi
so
and
good.
Cameron James. And it's like a pop culture wrap-up
And
analytical
all their
type
like
podcast.
other podcasts together are genius. And this
Total
one
Reboot
is all
and Finding Jesus
Drago.
and Finding Drago, yeah.
But this one, Special Features, is pop culture stuff, and it's really good. So anyway, Alexi Taliopoulos is like a film buff beyond like Tarantino style level.
I would say him and Kate Jinks are Australia's premier film buffs, basically.
They are. They're buff. And so he is going to do like a Q&A, and Rage at Placid Lake is, and also, you know, that movie that you did, Rage at Placid Lake.
Rage in Placid Lake.
Rage in Placid Lake. It's like also people get nostalgic. Like this movie I did called The Rachel Papers in London. It wasn't the best movie on the planet, but with time, people want to watch it also just to see London in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it's kind of becomes like cozy to see a city at a certain time and the vibe of a certain time. And the movie Rachel Papers is good enough for sure.
I also think like for people with Rage in Placid Lake, like I was 20 when it came out. So people like Alexi and Cameron were probably 12. If you're a 12-year-old kind of misfit creative boy and this movie comes out like Rage in Placid Lake that is dirty and dark and funny and about non-conformity, and I just think it spoke to people of a certain age at the right time. But right now, if people want to watch it, the only place they can see it is on YouTube, which is like
I know,
bananas.
you said that.
Yeah.
That's bananas.
So crazy.
BANANAS.
But I've also got, I also just want to plug 2 shows coming up. The last 2 shows of this tour, Melbourne, Friday and Saturday night. Friday at Northcote Social Club and Saturday at the Kindred Ballroom. And then it's just been announced I'm going to be playing at Sydney South by Southwest. They have a South by Southwest in Sydney now, and I'm playing the TikTok event called the House of Music Discovery. It's me and a bunch of whippersnappers. I'm being wheeled out. I'm like the old guy, like, you know, wheeled out and propped up to represent the last generation. So
I mean, physically, forget about it. When we play tennis, you're bouncing all over the place.
Physically fit. What was that from? Remember that song?
Physically fit. What has that guy said next door to you when you lived in that apartment? Every day, in every way. Things
life is getting better and better. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I heard someone, a bit of a like case, like living next door to me in this little apartment in Hollywood, just repeating that over and over all day to himself.
Oh my God.
So depressing.
Why didn't you and Rose, I always forget the story, hook up when you were doing Rage at Placid?
I was with Claire at that point. And then later we sort of like danced around the idea, but it never
happened.
But we love each other. Like me and Rose have a very profound connection. Like she's
so great.
Good people.
Good
all right.
people. All right.
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Get ready to do your last shows and come on home.
Yeah. And love you so much. Miss you. I love doing these pods now while I'm away because they're a chance to just like stare into your eyes and long for you.
I know. Same.
In public. So it also like, you know, it feeds my exhibitionist side.
Cringy. I know your exhibition. I'm the opposite. I am like no PDA. I have like some weird fear of PDA, but you're like the opposite. You're like,
woo! All right.
Open the jacket and show your goods.
Not really.
No.
Okay, beautiful
all
babies.
Right. Beautiful babies.
May you flash your hearts and souls to the community around you today.
May you never be flashed by a real flasher, but flash your heart and soul.
Yeah. Okay. Love you. See you later.
Mwah.
Together we're weirder together.